Yo, what's good with y'all, man? We back with another video for y'all. Today we got another dark synth sample similar to Mike Dean, Desiree, Nick D, that type of vibe. Real energetic, so without further ado, let's get straight to the video. So now that you guys heard that preview, let's go straight into the breakdown. So here we are on the FOP, and I first started with just a very energetic ARP. For an example, a lot of Desiree's best songs and best samples all have one repetitive, catchy ARP that gets stuck in the listener's mind. So I decided to pick this one right here. And this is just a phrase from the Chroma Gallery kit. Again, link in the description to get any of my kits. But I just dragged it in here. It's already tempo synced for you, and the key is labeled. I pitched it down by 100 cents, and I had this to start out with. So as you can tell, all I did was I reversed it, and as far as the effects, I just have an EQ in here, lowering some of those heavy low mids just to clean it up a tiny bit. That was the foundation. Now I wanted to build on top of that, and the first thing I did was very simple. I wanted to cover some of the low end of the sample, and I just added a bass to do that. I went inside of Contact and I used Desiree's very own plugin, Freak 2, and I used this Don't Tell Me How to Bass preset, and I just had one note playing the whole time, and then in between I had this little glide note, just had a little more variety. For the effects on the bass, I just turned the high end down a tiny bit just because it was a little too harsh. Now moving on, I used one of these phrases from Desiree's very own kit, the Bundle Pack 1. For here, I just dragged it in and I chopped the tail of it to have it repeat over and over and over. As far as the effects, I threw nothing on here, and this is how that sounded. Very simple, just a real dark, aggressive melody. Now the fourth and final melody I added was inside of Contact, and I went again into Desiree's own plugin, and I used this History Repeats synth, and I just had this very simple top line on top. So as you can see, it's extremely simple. These three notes, I copied it for the second half and I just changed one. And as far as the MIDI, I knew I didn't have to do too much because I picked a really good sound. The better the sound, the less work you have to do when it comes to the MIDI and the notes that you're using. As far as the effects, I just have this EQ cutting out all the low end from the sound. So that's it for the first section. Again, very simple, nothing too much going on. For the second half, I started with the same phrase earlier, except I have timed it. So I went to the time multiplicator, I held Alt and I scrolled up with my mouse wheel, and it's gonna snap it to the grid, but also half time it, and that sounded like this. So yeah, pretty simple, just a halftime version of the original sound. And I wanted to do that because I wanted to add more melodies in here. Since the ARP was very fast paced, it was very complex and covering a lot of the melody. So I wanted to slow it down, even lower the volume a little bit, just kind of tuck it in the back and leave room for some new melodies that I added down here. First was the bass. I'm using the exact same bass sound, I just changed the bass line. Now I love doing this with the bass, of changing the bass line to create a more suspense, kind of a more amped up feel. And I love doing this for a bridge. So the main part of this second half was a bridge, something to surprise the listener and still have the same vibe as the first part, but just be a little more different. Moving on to that, I chose this same lead from the Desiree plugin again. I just changed the melody to be a little more repetitive and a little more energetic. So you kind of see how both of those sounds, the synth lead and the bass, complement each other, and both just create a suspenseful, dark feel. To finish off the bridge, I wanted to bring in a whole new element, a whole new sound, so I went to Contact again, and I used Desiree's plugin one more time, and I used the low-key synth, and just a very simple like ARP melody, just three notes going down, and then I copied it for the second half. I just changed some of the notes, and then just have this repeat over one more time. For the effects on here, I panned this one to the right since the first lead that I had here was panned a little bit towards the left. I wanted to separate them in the final mix of the sample. And as far as the effects, I just have this EQ cutting off some of those harsh clean highs. Now all that back in with the ARP sounded like this. So to end off the sample and connect the bridge with a new section, I have basically the first section again, except I removed some elements and I brought in one more texture slash phrase. Again, this is from Desright and this is this one right here. I just dragged it in, I chopped it up, and I messed with the placement of the phrase. I did not change the pitch, it was already good. And as far as the effects, I just cleaned it up a little bit with an EQ, and I panned it a lot more towards the right to just kind of have it stand out in the listener's ear. Pretty simple, just a little texture, nothing too much. I didn't want to have it stand out from the ARP. I still wanted the ARP to be the main factor. For the last section, I just used some of the same sounds I just showed you guys. I just messed around with different combinations to just come up with one final part of the sample. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward as far as the arrangement. Now, as far as the master, I have my little master channel here that is kind of the same for every sample. I love to use a sound shifter just to mess with the pitch, come up with some new idea. And then I love to use retro tape. Now for this one, I didn't turn the age up all the way to make it sound really like vintage and like broken down, but I turned it a little over like halfway. And this is just going to clean out some of those highs, give it a real analog warm feel and make it sound more retro, like it's going through a real tape cassette. And then just a soft clipper making it a lot louder. Turn this on, and then this is the final sample. But yeah, man, that's pretty much it. If you guys do want to make some more samples like this, but you don't have real analog gear, any synths, or even you don't have the best VSTs, Chroma Gallery is available with over 200 phrases, all made with the Chroma console. If you click the first link in the description and you get Prophet Gallery, which is a whole new phrase kit made with my Prophet Rep 2 and the Chroma console, this comes with over 300 plus phrases. You get Chroma Gallery attached completely free. As you can see right here, you get Chroma Gallery attached for free. You guys could even try the demo. If you scroll down, there's a free version of the kit you guys could try. And yeah, but with that being said, that's pretty much it for this video. Hope you guys did enjoy and learn something new. If you guys have any more video recommendations, leave them in the comment section down below. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video.